Broadcasting live from the Wellness Wonderland, you're listening to the Wellness Wonderland Radio. I'm Katie, and each week I chat with the most inspirational people on the planet on how to stay inspired in all areas of life. As you listen, feel free to tweet at me at Katie Dalebout or use the hashtag Wellness Wonderland. I'd love to hear your aha moments. So grab your headphones and listen on the go, or cuddle up with a notebook as we dive in deep with authentic conversations right here in Wonderland. Hey guys, it's me again. I just quickly wanted to remind you that all the show notes with the links and resources we mentioned in this episode are available on my blog. So head there now and leave a comment for me or our guest, and we'll respond. And you can also find the entire archives of all the episodes from the Wellness Wonderland podcast and catch up on those at thewellnesswonderland.com/podcast-2. And if you guys are digging the show, it would be super duper awesome if you guys could leave me a review and a rating over on iTunes. It would be so helpful to bring more people to the show. Thank you guys so much for listening and leaving a review. And without further ado, here is this week's podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. I am super grateful and excited that Julie PIATT is here. Julie is a plant-based chef, healer, musician, yogi, mother, just all-around awesome lady. And through embracing a plant-based diet, Julie healed herself of what doctors insisted was incurable. This experience gave her a deeper connection to food and provided her a miraculous opportunity to really see the body's ability to heal. So she now, really promotes the plant-based lifestyle and supporting it with whole foods and living foods. And she's just a really awesome, inspiring lady outside of the kitchen as well, really active in the yoga community. And we're going to kind of get into all of it with her. But she's co-authored the best-selling Jai Seed with her husband, Rich Roll, who is the host of my favorite podcast, the Rich Roll Podcast. And her expertise encompasses this whole lifestyle approach to healthy living. So I'm so grateful to have her in my podcast, My Wellness Wonderland, today to get her deep insights on everything from food and relationships and music and family. We'll hopefully kind of cover it all. So let's dive in deep. Julie, how are you today?
I'm great, Katie. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to share some moments with you here.
I am too. I think this is going to be really rad. So I think where I want to start is just catching everybody up to speed in who you are. So maybe we could give kind of the quick version of your background. And now, I would definitely say you're living in your version of the Wellness Wonderland. But I know you grew up in Alaska and you had a very different nutritional strategy when you started out. And then you worked in fashion, which was pretty fast-paced. And then now you're kind of in this awesome place where you are now. So I'd love if you could kind of discuss your journey a bit.
Yeah, sure. Interestingly enough, I was raised in Alaska, and I grew up eating game meat that my father hunted and harvested for us. So my dishes as a child were caribou tacos and moose burgers, and more salmon than any human should ever eat in their entire life. So it was really, it was basically just a normal middle-class family, dietary plan that included a lot of game meat. We lived in Alaska, so there wasn't a lot of fresh things. Although what's interesting there is in the summer, they have like these kind of supernatural, huge, enormous vegetables that grow because they have, the 3 months of intense light, 24. Oh, wow. So you would have, a carrot the size of a skateboard or something like that. So it was kind of this bizarre thing. But as a usual course, that of life, that 9-month, winter, dark winter, you're really pretty void of fresh things, at least right out of the ground. So I think I started really cooking when I was in college. I studied business at Arizona State, a very serious party school, actually. But I started cooking with a boyfriend there that I was with for the 4 years that I went to school. He was an architecture student, and we basically started cooking just out of Bon Appetit magazines. And he was part French, which probably helped out a little bit. But I would say that, I've always been a thin person, so I didn't ever have to approach food, from a place of dieting for a weight reason. And so that meant that, I kind of ate whatever I wanted to. I was never really focused on food. And I just, in our house, you didn't have to finish your plate. That wasn't a requirement of our family. So everybody just kind of rolled the way they wanted to, ate what they wanted, and didn't make that big of a deal out of it. And then later in life, when I was married to Rich, many years later, I was given what I call, a gift or blessing of a healing opportunity in the form of a large cyst in my neck. And this cyst was a thyroid glossal duct cyst, which is common in young children between the ages of 8 and 12. And I was in my 40s when I got mine. So anyway, I went to see a few surgeons. I got, second and third opinions, and basically was told that I would have to have a cross-section of my neck cut out. It was not an easy surgery. It would be a medium type surgery. And there was no way to cure it, otherwise. And I decided to prove them wrong. So I actually worked with an Ayurvedic physician, and for the first time in my life, I got very real about my diet, very real about my lifestyle, and I basically ate off of one sheet of paper that had foods listed on it. And then I took some very strong healing herbs that smelled like sulfur, sewage, and dirt mixed together. And I would break them out at night, and everyone would go running from the kitchen because the smell was so bad. But I just felt, I kind of felt like I had an MRI. The cyst was not cancerous. They were afraid it might become cancerous. And I felt like, what, I have a little time here. So I've been given this opportunity to really explore this, so I'm gonna go for it. And I was successful. After about a 1.5 to 2 year period, it was completely gone, completely healed.
Super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I loved hearing that story on the Rich Roll podcast, and he would talk about you coming home with this like brown bag into the kitchen, and you would, you didn't even really know, what it was, and you get all the stuff out. But I just think it's awesome that you took that approach to it. And what's even more awesome is the fact that, I think you said in the podcast that it took a while, but, Rich and your family and the people around you, they didn't necessarily support that at first, but you stuck to your guns and you knew that this was the best way from your intuition. And a lot of times people don't listen to their intuition, even though they know what the right thing is to do. But a lot of times, outside, even if it's well-intentioned, outside influences, from your family or your husband, but you were really able to continue to do this and then had their support. And could you talk about that aspect of it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all, all of us in life, we go through a sort of, process of becoming mature. And actually, for me, it was realizing that, the only person that I can blame or that I can, accredit decisions in my life to is myself, and I actually had had a tonsillectomy late in my life when my oldest boy was only 1.5 years old. And yeah, I had some issues going on in the back of my throat, and, it wasn't great. And I kind of tried to heal it with Chinese herbs, but I didn't really change my diet, and I didn't really try long enough, I guess. And everybody was just sort of nonchalant, go see this surgeon. And I went to see the surgeon, and he was very very like casual about it. Like, oh yeah, you'll be down a couple days, and it's nothing, it's tonsils, it's not anything. Well, I had a bad experience, and something was botched in that surgery. And I literally could not swallow for about 8 weeks. I had referred pain from my throat into my eardrums, such that I was readmitted to the hospital, and they would send the pain doc up, and he was having trouble mixing a cocktail that would take my pain away. Like, he was mixing morphine with something else. And then suddenly here you go in for a standard tonsillectomy that everybody thinks is just nothing. And, I've lost 20 pounds, which is a lot of weight for somebody like me. And, I can't eat, and I'm in massive pain. And, was this really necessary? And so I think I kind of forgot about that point. Rich reminds me of that episode, but I think it was on the heels of that. And then when they were like, oh yeah, we'll just cut your neck, I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Like, I don't think you're my neck. And, if you had been able to puncture it and drain it, I might have been up for that. Like, I might have gone, okay, that's not such a big deal. But I think we all of us in our life, and it's funny, I was talking to somebody today who we're going to be speaking with in Canada soon, with the medical association there, that, we have to take responsibility over our own health. No one can tell you what's right for you. And I think we have this kind of history of like, well, if someone's a surgeon, then they're God, or they know, right? Or, same thing with even, money investors, or, any of these roles. It's like, you can't give your power away to a guru, all of them. It's about self-responsibility, and then, having the commitment and the faith, the extreme faith that it takes to persevere in these areas. Yeah. And I would say that my doctor, the Ayurvedic physician that I worked with, he never ever entertained or spoke in a way that would indicate that what we were doing would not work. He was absolutely certain that the body would heal itself.
Super cool. And I mean, that's what it's designed to do. And I think a lot of people, like you said, give away that power. And I love, Chris Carr always says this, that we're the CEO of our own healing. I mean, you can bring other people in, like you did with the Ayurvedic doctor and the support of your family and the, herbs. But like, really, you're in mission control, making all the calls. You're the only one that is going to be able to heal you. And that's the other thing, it's so easy, no matter what your condition is, to just want that healer. And it's not necessarily, for a lot of people, even a doctor, it can be like, that acupuncturist, or I just need that health coach, or I just need that recipe book. It's like, but really you are the guru, you are the teacher, and just going within and like really getting behind that, I think is, it's like, it's trippy for people to really understand that. And that's something that you've actually really, really helped me understand, Julie.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really true. And it's like a perfect transition to the next thing I wanted to ask you. But, like you said, we are all the same. We are all one. And that was a really big shift for me. One of my favorite episodes of you on the Ritual podcast, I don't remember exactly, which one it was, but one of my favorite things was, I think it was one of the very first ones, but anyways, it was, you're talking with him about when you see a quality you admire or look up to in someone else, it means that you put this in a way that I could understand. I'd heard this before, but the way you said it, it got me, and what you said was, when you see a quality or you admire a quality in someone else, it means that that's in you but unawakened or unleashed. And when you said that, it really, really, like I said, it just like hit me. So I would love if you could discuss that concept a little bit and go even deeper into that maybe.
Well, yeah, sure. So it's so funny because I never re-listened to the podcast, so I let it go authentically, and then I never listen again. I have no idea.
Do you remember saying that?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, something that I feel deeply. part. So yeah, I can, but it's just funny because
It's pretty
I,
cool.
I don't want to listen back to the podcast because I don't want to take any of the authenticity out of it. Like I can just be freer if I just am not
Right.
involved, so,
Yeah.
um, the, yeah, I mean, I would say, it's that thing like it takes one to know one, or like in all of the, all the gurus that I've studied with in my life, I've been on a spiritual path for, forever, like since I was born. And I've studied all different kinds of traditions and with all different kinds of teachers. And I've been blessed enough to have some very established, wise, realized beings guiding me in different areas. And one perspective of that is that oh, that's for weaklings, or how could you follow somebody, a guru or somebody with that kind of light? And the thing is that we only admire that which we have already inherent within ourselves. So if I can see it in another, I can realize it myself. That's the whole point of a guru, right? It's just a portal, which it brings you to a further realization.
Like a
And you,
mirror.
like a, yeah, like a mirror. And the other point is, we all have heard about shadow artists. It's like, that's another very prominent theme in my life is I always wanted to be a musician. I always was a musician since I was young. I mean, just naturally, inherently, at age 6, I wanted to sing. And then I didn't do it for many reasons, and I kind of did everything else. But I was absolutely spent the large part of my life completely in awe of musicians. Like, I mean, my brother is one, a very, very extraordinarily gifted musician, like, world-class guitar player, one of the best in the world. And, I had, different boyfriends, and it was always kind of this complete projection of this awe of musicians. And it was funny because I really wasn't even in touch with it. But when I started to meditate, later in my life, these songs just started writing. Like I wasn't even trying to, but when I got really real with myself and really quiet with myself and I stopped externally engaging, this is what came to me. So, I think that, every human life is a hero's journey. We're all here to find our way home, our way back to our source. And every human, no matter where you're from, has the same desires and the same, dreams for life in a general sense. And so, I feel that, seeing some really beautiful quality in another is just a signal to you that if you can see it, you have it within you.
Gives me chills.
Mm-hmm.
I love that so much. And it's so funny, you said you didn't even necessarily, I mean, you remembered saying it, but it's just pretty cool, the power of the podcast that I listened to that here in Michigan, and it really changed my life. Ever since I heard that was like a big, you have those moments where you hear something and, Eckhart Tolle, Julie Piatt, like
I'll take that in the same sentence with the Master Prince.
No, it's way true for me. I mean, there is like, when I listened to him on that audiobook, there are lots of shifts in that. But then when I heard you say that, the one that you said, it takes one to know one, like never really got that, didn't do much for me. But the way that you put it, it really shifted in me that I'm good enough. And the things I see in my mentors and my teachers, the things that I admire in them, it means I have them in me and that we're all the same. And I always, I think, and this is a good transition to my next question, especially, getting into schooling. But like in school, I always felt that I, wasn't good enough, or I wasn't as good as someone else. I was better than other people, but there was always that, like, that is very in our educational system, which I think is, a big thing that's so broken with it. But they put you into these different boxes and these different labels, which is, another thing I want to get into. You can kind of get into that with diet, and that's a whole other thing. But like, there's always these labels with whatever job you are, whatever the different math classes they put you in, or all of that kind of stuff. And it really, it just, you keep learning it and learning it. And I think now I'm in a point in my life where I'm unlearning and unlearning. And that line that you said really helped me to see everyone as equal and see myself as equal. And it just was a huge paradigm shifter for me. So I loved that.
It makes me happy. Well, you know, the one thing that I'll just say before we move to the next is I've lost my thought now. It's just, it'll
come to you. It'll come to you
in a minute.
Well, in the meantime, I mean, while you think of it, the next thing I want to get into eventually is the other big paradigm shift was the episode where you guys talk about creativity and education and fitting into molds. And I just would love it if you could talk a bit about unschooling and homeschooling. And it's such an interesting thing that both you and Rich come from a very traditional educational backgrounds, and you saw in your children that they required something else and you acted on that. And I think that is just such a admiring thing that you did, and the fact that you're out there talking about it and helping other people get to that. It's really, really awesome. So I would just kind of love to dive in there a bit.
Actually, and that reminds me what I was going to say. So
perfect.
what I was going to offer is it's really sort of the core of my whole unschooling movement and the book that I'm writing and sharing is that, you know, each of us is already exalted in the eyes of the divine simply for your presence, simply for the reason that you exist here in this moment and you are breathing and you made it into a body in this earth is already the greatest blessing of a miracle ever. Wow. So we all spend all this time, all this violence, which the system sets up. It sets up because you're comparing and it's a competition and you're supposed to achieve, you know, and it's when you really just relax, if you sit with that and just go, oh, I'm enough right now, not after I've, you know, achieved 8 degrees or after I've accomplished XYZ or after I've married whoever it is or after I, you know, make this much money, literally for your presence, that's enough. Like that already is enough. And if you think you're not a miracle, look into the human body. Just turn a magnifying glass and look at the human body and what it does and how it breathes on its own and how it digests things and, you know, all of your other senses and your intuitions and your ability to feel and love and hurt and all of those things. That in itself is the greatest miracle. So when, you know, Jai Seed is the title of our cookbook, but it's the title of really my life work. And the reason it's Jai Seed is because Jai is an exclamation of victory, like hail or praise. It's like it's exalted, right? It's like praise in Sanskrit, and then seed is the potential of everything in creation. So like you're a seed, I'm a seed, a plant comes from a seed, you know, children are star seeds. So it's a very kind of deep concept that has first come out as a cookbook, right? But there's a lot of other layers to it. And as you see in the cookbook, when you go through, you can see some of my photographs of these coral trees where they actually look like human bodies. You know, we look like trees. You look inside and it's like there's arteries and veins and, you know, and it's very human-like. So I would say that the core of why I'm writing this book and sharing my personal experience, it's like a spiritual memoir, but I'm trying to tell it in a way that I really give the reader some useful takeaway that they can actually apply. So this has been kind of a dance because I've had a lot of very interesting spiritual experiences, and I'm trying to meld the two worlds. So we'll see how well I succeed. But basically, the whole reason that I'm doing this is because I believe that inherent in each of us is a perfection that was created within our divine mandala of our life. And each being has some perfect organization or expression or genius within inside of them. And so why would we want to make those things all the same, first of all? And I just feel like we as human beings deserve to be loved, respected, and honored unconditionally because we were created in this divine form. And if we knew that and understood that, we would be asking the question, please tell me more of who you are, instead of saying, gee, you're really extraordinary at, physics, but you can't read at all. So, let's look at the fact you can't read, and let's not look at the fact that you're a genius in all these other areas. Right. So, I'm advocating something that many say is very lofty. I've had people tell me, well, you're asking too much. But I don't feel I'm asking too much, and I will. Me neither. Thank you. And I will continue to hold that space of seeing you in your highest potential. I will hold that space for you, and I will hold it for me, and I will hold it for all humanity, because I believe in humanity. And I know we were created from divinity, and we've forgotten. We've just forgotten a little bit.
So good. I think we all have a lot to unlearn, right? I think that's kind of the path I'm on now is, I wasn't unschooled, I was schooled, and now I'm kind of unlearning all the stuff I was taught, right?
Yeah.
And it, it's a journey, and I'm grateful for everything that I had, and I know you've had this conversation with Rich on that show, that everything happens for a reason, and we're grateful. But one of the things that really made this concept sink in for me that you guys mentioned, I think it might be an Einstein quote or something. It's like if you teach you rate a fish and a fox on their ability to swim and run, like
This is actually an Osho quote. Oh, yeah. And it's but Osho doesn't. One of Osho's followers told him this, but I don't know who. He doesn't say who that is. So Osho was a realized Indian saint that was very controversial, but very, very beautiful. And most of what he writes just penetrates me right through to the core. So I know I'm the same soul vibration that he is. But no, he tells this beautiful story, which is, you too. I know, it's funny. It just resonates. It's like it doesn't even go through the brain. It just goes right in.
Yep. Yep.
But, isn't that amazing?
It's like you and me. We were on that one too.
That's so good. It's beautiful. So Osho says, he makes this point about standardized education. So he tells this funny story about, okay, so a squirrel, a fish, squirrel, fish, bird, and a slug get together, and they decide that they're going to create a standardized curriculum. So you can already see, you're already laughing, right? So right. The squirrel insists that tree jumping be included in the curriculum, and the fish insists that swimming be included, and, the bird insists that flying be included. And so they all try their best, and of course, I don't know the exact story. It's in my book. I've adapted it in my book, but good. Suffice to say, the bird breaks his beak burrowing. The rabbit dies tree jumping, and someone else drowns. The point is that the hummingbird does not lament that it's not a bunny. So right. Why are we taking our children and trying to put them into the same box, and then medicating them if they don't fit in that box, because we're like, wait, this doesn't fit in this system. Let's medicate it and dumb it down.
Yep.
And make it fit in. And now we're all seeing that this education system is leading nowhere, that it's just test taking, it's creating educators, and they don't even know if there are jobs to fill. At the end of this whole trauma, they don't even know if there are jobs. So my book is about that creativity is what is going to see us through, that that is what is going to provide the miracles, this open channel of creativity in all things, so that we can receive the messages that are quantum leaps beyond a linear process. Okay, so the linear process isn't going to give us what we need to overcome different challenges that we are facing right now on the planet. It's very clear. So if we go A, B, C, D, it's not going to happen. We have to be open to something that just leaps us out of the whole game, and suddenly we find out, oh, the earth isn't flat. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's going to be something like that,
Yeah, I hope it comes sooner than later. And I think, thank goodness for your book and people like you, but I think, it was just such a paradigm shifter for me. And the thing that, one of the other things that you guys spoke about in the episode where Rich says, that specialized skills are so important, especially, the point where I am in my life where, just got out of the college system and, a lot of my friends, it's like, well, what do we do now? Like, well, what's next? And, I really kind of made my own path and did what I want to do. And Rich mentions that, if you really know Final Cut Pro, or you can learn how to do a podcast, like what I'm doing right now, I didn't know how to do any of this, but I thought it was cool and I taught myself. And so it's like, I wish I would have had, training in school to figure out how to do this. And I wish I could have done that, but I spent money to learn stuff that I'm not using, So it's like, there is a little bit, you can hear it in my voice. There's a little bit of frustration. I'm grateful for the path and I'm grateful for the journey, and some good things definitely came from that. But at the same time, it's a lot of money and there's a lot of debt. And
sure.
And I think the thing, for people to kind of take away, or I guess what I want to ask you is, how do you kind of rise above that frustration when, you have gone through the system and, like you and we've already gone through the system, and getting back in touch with your creativity?
Well, I think again, just having that awareness that everything happens for a reason, and that you never even know why you were there. Like, you could have need to be there because there was some kind of energy that you don't even know about that you were exchanging with someone else, and that served creation in the highest way. So I would think just let it go.
Yeah.
Just totally let it go. It's over. The moment is gone. It's over. And, in my own life of being an artist, it's like, here I was 6, I wanted to sing. My older brother was only 17 months older, but he started playing guitar and was in the talent show. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to do something different to differentiate from him. So then I stopped doing that. And I went through my whole life. My mom had to support her family in Chile in a society where women didn't work, and she had to go to work at age 16, and she was very, very bright and very industrious, and she's a wonderful woman. But she really, really sort of put her desire on me, which was that I shouldn't be dependent on a man. She wanted me to learn business. And so if you look at my high school transcripts, I have business, real estate, I was on the debate team, this stuff that's completely not me at all. And I was actually pretty good at it. I made good grades or whatever, and I have a business degree. But it was funny because it wasn't until my late 20s that I went to fashion design school, and I took my first art class ever in my life. And so I started drawing, and I could just naturally draw. And my sister was freaking out because she went to art school, and she's like, what is that? You just do that, and I can't do that, And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I wasted 25 years of my life not realizing that I was an artist, But then, it's because I had that business background that when I did my first line of fashion that I got right into the stores, and that I was selling all the top stores. I knew how to get into a store because of what I'd gone through. And then, my brother, my genius brother, a guitar player, very different. He knew what he wanted to do, and he played guitar every day, all day, anytime, all time. And he's done that his entire life. And he is extraordinarily gifted, in that area. So I don't know. I guess, we all take different paths, and you have to be grateful for your background. And, we're the sum of all of our experiences, and we learn way more from the trauma than we do from the easy times.
And that's tweetable.
It's true, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm so grateful to be realizing myself now. And it's been a long time coming because I've waited till late in my life to do this with Rich. So it's pretty sweet right now.
Yeah, it's super sweet. And I love that you said that about, just be grateful for it, because I think for me, where I am right now, it's like, well, maybe I haven't gotten to that point where I am going to use something that I learned, so I don't know it yet. Like you with a business degree, like when you were in fashion school, maybe you didn't know that you would be pulling from that when you were trying to get into the store. So for me, and for a lot of people listening, it might be maybe you don't even know how that had to work out, but it just trust that it was for a reason. I think that's
Yeah,
a
you have
great
to
takeaway.
trust that it's for a reason. But I would say at this point, it's like, I'm a rebel. I'm all for not doing, what an institution says you should do. I trust you. I believe in you, in your own connection to your own heart. And what I say is make sure that at the end of the day, when you put your head on that pillow, that you lived the life that you wanted to live for you.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
You're so good. Okay. My next kind of thing I want to get into is kind of about relationships a bit. And you and Rich have just the most natural partnership. And I love just, hearing you guys riff on the podcast, because it's such a positive example of relationships. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about why relationships are so crucial and what advice you have for young people in the regards to relationships.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know if you know this about me, but I've been married 3 times.
Of course I do. I'm like your super fan.
Like you researched me. Well,
I listen to those podcasts like they're my job.
that's so awesome. Well, let's see. I mean, for a girl like me, I don't think in terms of forever. I think in terms of really living right now in an honest, authentic way. So I never had an issue with having a few marriages. Like to me, I mean, when I'm with someone, I'm with them, I'm not, and when I'm not, I can't be there anymore. Yeah. So and it was rough. It was tough with the boys when in the relationship where I had the boys, there was a moment there where I was like, okay, I think I could probably hang out here another 2 years, but then the boys would have been older and it would have been more traumatizing for them. So, doing this with kids there's no easy way, and a definite, I think a base timeline for any divorce under the best of circumstances, it's 2 years. 2 years of emotional trauma that you're working out. So, let's see. So, importance of relationship. Well, you can really grow a tremendous amount in relationship because it's a lot more challenging when you're bumping up against somebody else. And this goes in every single area of your life. So it can go from just the minute daily things of just the cadence of living, or how you squeeze the toothpaste tube, to, all the way to how you express yourself in your life and what are your dreams. And I would say early and Rich in my relationship, there was more of a competition there because we hadn't been ground and chiseled into the clear channels of service that we are now. we had a lot of really good ideas, and they were similar to what we're doing now, but we still had a lot of personal ambition in there. And it's just not something that you can read about in a book. You have to go through life, and you have to really be put through tests to really come to a place of being able to serve. Also a component of that is to develop true loving compassion, that it goes to everyone, not just people that you prefer. So I think that right now there's a big opportunity on the planet for men and women to come together and serve in divine union. And when I say divine union, I'm talking about leaving the constructs of the rescuer, rescued paradigm, where the man has to come in and make it all okay, and the woman is the seductress and that whole thing. There's a new platform that's available where you can start to serve with somebody, in real authenticity and power, and then the feminine and masculine can dance with each other and kind of create something even beyond, by being free of those lower vibration structures that we've all been brainwashed and we've all been raised, and it's been, it's part of our culture. It's part of being a human on the planet. So I think, Rich and I are starting to explore some of those edges, and we're blessed enough. We're very well matched, and we're very grateful for that. So if you can find it, or if you can experience it and play and explore in a relationship, it's certainly my preference, been my preference in my lifetime. And I say, go for it.
I love that. And another thing that you've spoken about before, and you kind of touched on this, but you mentioned that you guys are two complete beings with both masculine and feminine energy within each of you. Mm-hmm. So can you talk about that a little bit, about kind of two complete people coming together in partnership?
Yeah, and I mean, we've grown into that, so I wouldn't say that necessarily was awakened in us when we came around. I mean, I guess you could say, Rich is very in touch with his feminine side, which I love. I love all his creativity and his photographs and his sensitivity. And it was funny, I was giggling because I actually think if he started cooking, he'd probably be a really good cook as well. Because it's really a creative effort. But for now, I'm developing most of that. So I would say, as human beings, the whole point of self-realizing and merging into one and coming home is that you have both energies within ourselves, masculine and feminine within ourselves. And I think the more that we develop that, we're sort of become a little bit more androgynous, where we're sort of in the middle, in a balanced state. So, I'm still a woman and Rich is still a man, and, we enjoy those aspects of ourselves, to the fullest. But I would say that it's more in balance, like nothing's at an extreme. Like my feminine is not at an extreme, and my masculine is not at an extreme. And the same thing with Rich. He's very masculine, but he's also very in touch with his feminine, which gives him a nice softness and sweetness and compassion and creativity and, all that. So nice. I think, we, all of us have that. And so, it's part of life journey to bring that and get in touch with those within yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's huge. I think, it's easy to get caught into one mode of create, for me at least, I can kind of get into the one energy of creating and pushing, and I want to build this business and do this. And then it's I also have to be okay, but now I need to slow down and I need to meditate. I need to go to that yoga class. And that's really important too. So I think in every, just individual really checking in with both sides,
Absolutely. Definitely.
So you've kind of, touched on this before, with going through divorce and just anything in your life. Life is just this big, ups and downs. And again, something I latched onto from a podcast of you and Rich was you talked about the concept of connecting with joy and how to maintain a positive energy even when you guys have been in a tough situation. You're really good at that, and I would love kind of some advice on that.
Wow. Well, pretty good at it. we had our moments for sure. It's a warrior path, this human life, that's for sure. So don't think that it's not all skipping through the roses. That's just not how it's been. And I don't know, it's funny because my Vedic astrologer describes my chart as blood, guts, and glory. So I'm I think it's actually true. I have a lot of experiences that are very profound, and I definitely go through it. But I emerge on the other side with some real beauty and meaning,
Yeah.
and that's the point. So I think when you say joy, it's not like I'm smiling all the time and
Right.
hurting my face, because I'm artificially smiling. But I think what happens is when you're connected, or for me, when I'm connected to divinity and God or consciousness or creation or whatever that is, when I'm touching in on those places, and a lot of times for me it's through creativity and creative exchange, I just feel really fed, like really full and vibrating and very amplified in authenticity. And for me, that's what joy is. It's where you're so merged in who you are, and you're connected in the core of your being. So your breath is very full and very established. And sort of timelines drop away, and miracles happen. And there's sort of a beauty that's beyond anything you could imagine or anything you could ask for or envision. And it comes from being rooted in that kind of timeless space.
So good. I want to just, I know I'm going to listen to this one like over and over again, and I want to just hang out with you. I mean, there's just so many aha moments and just great lines in this already that I'm loving. I personally feel so connected to you. I wouldn't be surprised at all if my chart had guts and glory too.
Well, it's beautiful. It's funny because I didn't realize you were in Michigan, or maybe I did, and then it left my mind because I don't keep a lot of information in my brain. But it's funny because Rich and I have a very close karmic connection with Michigan folks. So and we'll talk later and I'll tell you, but literally down the road, there are very key people in our life that are from Michigan. And, Rich has spent a lot of time in Michigan. He was born in Detroit, and his family has a lake house there for years. But I remember, it's funny, I had a clairvoyant tell me one time, you're going to be really connected with people from the Midwest. And I was a fashion designer at the time, and I was like, oh, you're so out of it. I'm in New York and LA.
They're wearing scrunchies there.
I was like, what? That's not happening. And then it's just like every time I meet somebody and it's really deep, and I look at them and I go, are you from Michigan? And they go, yeah. It's hilarious. It's
my gosh, you're going to have to give me a list of names of people to hang out with.
I know, it's funny. It's
so funny. I love that. Well, now I want to transition to yoga a little bit. And I know you're a yoga teacher, and obviously yoga is a part of your life. So I would love if you could discuss the importance of Shavasana at the end of practice, and how, there's always those people, right, who pack up, right, and it's
out the door,
right, and it all leads up to that point. So I want to hear your thoughts. Well,
it's kind of, again, I mean, hey, everybody has free will and they're free to live their own life. So it's like if somebody is missing Shavasana, it is their loss.
Yeah.
For sure. But yoga is such a beautiful practice, and it certainly has been one of the great joys of my life. It's the difference between me feeling like I'm alive and connected and vibrating, or dead. It's very, very, very visceral for me. And yoga also has developed this, after years and years, 20 years of practicing this lifetime, you develop this kind of other awareness, this consciousness that's sort of holding everything that's happening. So that's what I think is the biggest gift of yoga, is this second attention, where you become sort of observational in your life, and everything that you're doing, you're very conscious of it. And this really helps being in asana and getting in the postures. Plus, the postures are, over 6,000 years old, and they are going to awaken and align things between your body, mind, and spirit that none of us even understand. I mean, you could, read the phone book and practice asana, and it will still do something drastically transformational to you. So that's really amazing. But yeah, I would say if you're going to spend, an hour and a half in a class and open your body up and all these energies, and it's not just a physical practice, there's all these subtle energies and things that are happening. So the biggest gift of yoga is to actually lie down and then allow your body to do what it does, which is integrate all of the energies and, balance and harmonize so that you then can be fully integrated. And if you were doing a really strenuous class and you walked out, you might be not very integrated. And this would cause some issues for you and possibly for others as well.
I never even thought about it like that. I mean, that kind of brings a whole nother element to it, but I'm glad that we covered that one. So now I'd love to transition to talk about food a little bit.
Okay.
And so I know, when you were healing your neck, right, and you were going through that, you had a lot of skin issues come up during that journey. So I would love if you could talk about some things you did to heal your skin specifically, and just some foods and maybe detoxifying methods that focus on skin health a little bit.
Really what happened is okay, so I started taking the herbs when I had the cyst in my neck. So, and almost immediately I had a massive breakout of pus. I call it pus because, literally you just wipe your face over the pimples and the fluid would just be running out. It was all over my face. It was so bad. And I don't know how I was so confident that I just knew Rich was fine. But I just let it do its thing. And it was very traumatizing to a lot of people because when we're doing healing, we want the problem to go away and often when you start healing, the condition gets worse before it gets better because you're actually pulling the toxins out of you. So here I had all this lifetime of all these toxins that were in my system that were coming out on my face and whatever was trapped in the cyst on my neck as well. So, I had everybody telling me, stop taking the herbs, stop doing that, stop doing that. And I was like, no, I got to do this in order to make it to the other side. So it wasn't fun, and I can't really say that I had any food or anything that made it better. I just had to keep taking the herbs until it cleaned it out of my system. But as a general course of, living is, I am a proponent of coconut oil. I know there's a lot of controversy about that, but I want my skin soft and the inside of my body lubricated. So I do use a small amount, also externally and internally. And I also drink a lot of turmeric juice. Turmeric in Ayurveda is a beautiful skin support and just overall anti-inflammatory. And I've also heard in Ayurveda that an heirloom tomato can make your skin very radiant, but it's not very good for meditation. So you got to decide, do I want to have beautiful skin or be merged with my soul? No, that's at odds. So I don't really know. And, a lot of cucumber juice is really beautiful. And I think very healing for the skin. And I take it internally. And I'm trying to think of anything else skin-wise.
I love turmeric too. I feel like my hands are permanently stained yellow from using it, though.
I know. It's very, very, very strong.
It's a side effect.
Yeah.
So, well, now thinking about, staying with this topic of food, but, you're in California, but I'm in Michigan. I was wondering if you could talk a little, so it's still warm there, but a little bit about more nourishing, warming things at this time of year when it's difficult to, eat a lot of raw foods when you're so cold. Do you have any kind of advice there when it comes to diet?
Yeah, I agree with you a lot. I don't eat a lot of raw food when it's cold out. That's in Ayurveda, it would be you're trying to nurture your body and balance and stabilize it. So it depends on your dosha, on your body type, and everybody's different. And it would take, pulse reading and really a much more in-depth analysis to know what's right for every person. But if you start to know yourself and tap in, I really advocate oatmeal in the morning. I think oatmeal is one of the most nourishing things you can do for yourself, and it grounds you and it nourishes you and provides some fiber and some warmth. So I usually have mine with cardamom and cinnamon and a little bit of coconut oil and some raw honey. And I am an advocate of honey. I understand that our bees are compromised right now, and I try to get mine from consciously kept bees from certain beekeepers that I know, who only take a small amount of the of the honey, and leave the rest for them. But I really feel like there is a spiritual vibration that the bees have that we need. And so I would advocate that everybody try to become a beekeeper and get closer to them instead of say, don't touch them at all. So it's delicate, but the honey stays completely intact for thousands of years inside the Egyptian tombs. If you Google bee pollen, you will see 110 cures. And the bees are spiritually very developed, and we have a lot to learn from them. And so that's always going to be my sweetener of choice, if I can find it in a local way from somebody that I know that is, taking care. And then nourishing, if you're in a cold climate, like rich in my one bowls that are, some kind of bean, like a black bean, sauteed kale, quinoa and rice, and like a warm yam with cinnamon.
So good.
You could do something like that and do like a little warm cashew cheese sauce on top of that. And the one thing that I learned in Ayurveda was, for when I was healing my neck, was every night before you're exhausted, so before your body is telling you to go to bed, you should have a cup of something warm. So it's sort of like a signal to your body that you're starting to wind it down. It's a ritual. So, in Ayurveda, it's warm milk, but I wasn't drinking milk, or not cow milk. So he switched me to goat milk, and now I drink coconut milk or cashew milk. And again, a little sweetness with honey, and you start to signal your body to sort of calm down. And he taught that I would be in bed before I was tired. So you turn the lights off and get in bed before you're exhausted. You don't wait. So that was also part of just nurturing and being in cold climates. I'm for, I would do, what I do in cold climates is I get a blend in of some raw things in the day or a juice. But then I'm eating, soups and the kind of one bowls and the things that I just shared with you through the day.
So good. I love that tip about sleep. I'd never heard that before, about getting into bed before you're tired and having the warm drink. I really, really love that. So it's kind of perfect for the next thing I wanted to kind of get personal with you. And it's one of my favorite questions I ask everyone who comes on to the show. I'd love it if you could walk us through your morning routines and any specifics that you do to start your day and why that's important for how the rest of your day goes.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Well, first of all, every day is different for me because I move spontaneously through my life. So, but one example of a day where I could be found is my body just wakes me up naturally. So I would never use an alarm clock for any reason. That's violent to me, very violent. So I just kind of tell myself what time I need to wake up, and my body wakes it up at that time. So often I get up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. This is because I have a reason to connect spiritually at that time. The world is very, very quiet. There's a lot of there's less interference from all kinds of things, cell waves, traffic, people, and everything's pretty relaxed, pretty down. So I'm able to go into meditation at that time, and I'm able to get very clear answers in a much more effective way. So what I do is I get up and I have, I might make a Vedic latte, which is a turmeric ginger latte with cashew milk, or I might have a chai tea, depending on how I'm feeling. And I usually light a candle, and incense. I absolutely love incense and smells. They really throw me into my God place, like instantly. There's something with the smell that just brings me right there. So I meditate on a wool blanket. Actually, the one I meditate on now was my father's when he was a young man living in the jungles of Ecuador, and it's about 70 years old. It's red. So I meditate on his blanket, and I just connect in. It's usually breathing. Sometimes I do humming, and I allow whatever is meant to be communicated to me to come in. And then I often chant the Aditya mantra, open eye, as the sun rises. So the Aditya mantra is on my album, Mother of Mine. It's track 8. And it's a mantra that was in the Ramayana, which is a 6,000-year-old Indian ancient text. And it was given to the hero in the story at his time of most desperate need. And I have a very strong directive that a lot of our energetic power right now on the planet is coming from the sun. So all of my focus is on the sun, and really none of it on the moon anymore. So this open eye meditation really is amazing. And you can look at the sun when it's rising, of course not when it's full in the sky. And you'll look at it for a while, and then when you close your eyes, you'll see other images and things in your inner vision when this happens.
Cool. That's super cool.
So that's, I only got through like from 4:30 to 6 there.
Oh, nice. Do you want to keep going a little bit?
I don't know. So then, this is another thing. This is something that I do that I haven't really shared with anybody. Is I have a crystal that I bought Rich when I first met him, and for many, many years I have a sacred bowl of water, and I fill this bowl. Every morning I offer it to Shiva or to the earth, and refill it so that the essence of Rich is always in this full bowl of water. And it sits on my altar, and I have flowers on that for him and for me and for our kids. And it's something that I do every single day, and I've done it for years. And it's kind of a ritual of holding him in my highest vision for his ultimate self.
I love that. So what's next? Anything else after that? This is fun.
After that, what do I do? I'd like to do some asana, definitely. But by this time, I have children coming up and asking me for things. So lately, I've been really into doing asana by myself in my own room. I just kind of flow through postures that I intuitively feel make sense. So I do that. It's pretty yin. It's not very hardcore anymore. I'm very fit and I feel very strong, but I don't do the very, very hard practice anymore. I'm interested in practicing, till I'm 140. So I'm conscious of my knees and of things that are going on. So I might do a little asana, and I'm definitely writing in the morning hours too, because oftentimes when I'm meditating, then all the creativity comes in. So then I've got chapters from my book. I've got songs that are coming, recipes that are appearing. So there's a lot of writing in my meditation room. There's yellow and blue and green and orange sticky notes all over.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm laying different projects out. I'm writing 2 books right now.
Oh my goodness.
So So a lot of that, and then let's see, and then children and getting them settled in whatever their unschooling activities are for the day, whatever they're into, whether it's fashion design or creating music or um, going on a field trip or modern dance in the trees or anything like that. And then let's see, Rich and I probably have a couple meetings in there somewhere, and rehearsal with my boys because we play in a band together. And that's it. That's it. Just a lot of time in the kitchen, like a lot of time, creating food, and then what are we eating, and what time is everybody coming home, and so a lot of food preparation, a lot of love around our table in food.
I love that. So this is perfect for me to jump in and ask my next question, is which you've already touched on a little bit, but now I ask about the evening rituals and kind of things you do at the end of your day to wind down before bed.
Well, again, it would be first of all, we try to have a family meal in the evening, early evening. Try to have it done by 7:00. And then it's really reading with my girls. I'm really with them a lot. And then for me, it's the warm drink. I usually bathe before bed with the girls, and I have to clear the energy off of myself, or I can't sleep. So I often take a bath with baking soda or some kind of sea salt and some kind of essential oil like frankincense or jasmine or grapefruit. And then I can, if I get the energy cleaned off my skin, then I can sleep better. And then I just lie down. I don't have issues sleeping at all. It's all pretty easy for me. So, and Rich is, he has a different life. He's usually writing very late, and so he comes in very late, a lot of nights. So we're kind of different like that.
Nice, but it works lovely.
It does. It works lovely. I mean, the thing is we're both very independent individuals. So, I'm not looking for quantity of hours. We're looking for quality time.
I love that. I think I've heard you say that before. It's like my favorite.
Yeah.
So good. All right. Well, this has been amazing. You ready to wrap with some quick fire questions?
Yeah, I'm scared. Okay, go.
It's going to be fun. Okay. Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite yoga pose?
Warrior.
Favorite day of the week?
Sunday.
Favorite hour of the day?
4:30 a.m.
What is the biggest health misconception you're constantly clearing up for people?
Where do you get your protein?
I knew you were going to say that. What are you most excited about in your life right now?
God.
What are you doing in your life that you're afraid of, but you're doing anyways?
Nothing.
What is one practical self-care action that you do for yourself every single day?
Yoga. Meditate.
What is your favorite vegetable?
It's hard. I like a lot of them. Turmeric.
Favorite fruit?
Peach.
Favorite on-the-go snack, if you needed something like?
Blend in a jar.
What is your favorite recipe you've ever created?
Wow. Favorite recipe ever. How could I? Favorite recipe ever. Khichdi. Sprouted mung khichdi.
What is your go-to staple breakfast, which I think you already mentioned?
Yeah.
Oatmeal?
Yeah, oatmeal.
What is your favorite thing you've eaten in the past week? Like best meal in the last week?
Best meal in the last week was nachos with cashew cheese.
Ooh, yum. Gosh, I really want to come over now. I want to just have a sleepover and have our cashew milk tonight and wake up early tomorrow and meditate, do some yoga.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superhero power you'd like to have for a day?
Jumping dimensions.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Favorite vacation you've ever taken?
Hotelito.
Favorite movie?
Out of Africa.
Favorite book?
Bhagavad Gita.
Favorite song?
Ooh, favorite song. Greatest Discovery.
That was awesome. Those are so amazing. So I have one last final question for you. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay, so as you know, the name of my blog and the name of this podcast is The Wellness Wonderland. So when I offer that term to you, Julie, to live in a wellness wonderland, what does that mean to you?
Oh, it means magic of being connected to your authentic self.
Amazing answer. Like so many. You had amazing answers to all my questions and just so many great insights and aha moments. And this was really awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Well, Katie, you are an extraordinarily beautiful being. And it shows in your blog and your voice and your energy and your consciousness and your awareness. And I'm very, very, very honored to spend time with you. And I'm very happy to know you and connect for these few minutes and hopefully more.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to everyone for listening.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon. She'll be back in Wonderland, I hope.
Yes, whenever you want.
Yay.
Namaste.
Thanks for listening. You made it all the way to the end. I'll be back next week, but until then, let's stay inspired and keep this conversation going. So tweet at me at Katie Dalebout and our guest with your aha moments from this conversation. And like the Wellness Wonderland on Facebook, so we can all hang out there and discuss how inspired we are and how we'll apply it in our daily lives. And never miss another episode or post from me by signing up for email updates on thewellnesswonderland.com. See you back in Wonderland.